This is the Brandon Smith Show. I'm your host, Brandon Smith. And the entire purpose of the show is one singular thing, and that is to help you live a life free of dysfunction, whether it's at work or at home. So today, I have a very special guest on, Mr. Howard Flint. Howard, how are you?
I'm fine, Brandon. How are you?
I'm well. So before I have you hand the mic over to you
Yes.
to introduce yourself,
Yes.
part of why I'm so excited about Howard coming on the show is Howard is an entrepreneur and has been an entrepreneur for how long?
15 years?
Yeah, a while, right?
Yeah. I think you stop counting after a while.
And so what I love about this is twofold. One, there's a whole different set of kind of challenges entrepreneurs face.
Right.
So I'm so excited to kind of get your perspective on that.
Yep.
But second, I think so many people have this dream of wanting to be an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So it's like for the next 30 minutes, they get to live vicariously through you.
No.
And that's a scary thought.
Yeah,
huh?
it is. Right.
So with that, why don't we? I do want to hand the mic over to you. Tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you end up? What was your journey to becoming an entrepreneur?
Right.
And then let's dig into some of the challenges and stuff you've seen.
Okay. So you're using the word entrepreneur, and you said, this is a long time ago, and we were meeting, maybe having breakfast, and the term entrepreneur is a funny one because you're like, entrepreneur is like bipolar. Like people who are, like don't call themselves entrepreneurs.
Did I say that?
No,
said that.
you said
I did
something
say
like that. And so it was kind of funny because I agree with that.
It's true.
Because it's almost like saying, I'm a finely tuned athlete. You know, like somebody wouldn't say that about themselves. Like
I would say that about you.
No one would say that about. But I'm saying they would, or like I'm the greatest guitar player. You wouldn't say that about yourself, but someone would say, "Oh, Brandon Smith's the greatest guitar player." So an entrepreneur, I think, is one of those funny words that it's sort of okay for other people to use about you.
Yeah, I noticed when I was saying it to you, you were like,
am
I on the right?
I don't know. It's
am
a
I in the
funny
right
term.
place?
Yeah, I think. But so what's the word you use? I don't know, small business owner or whatever. But anyway, we're already off track. So it was early on in my life. I think watching my father, who was a banker all of his life. So he had a job. He was the president of a bank. Moved up for a few banks, and then my sophomore year in college, he lost his job. As he described it, he said, and he was there's five of us kids. I'm the fifth kid. I was still in college at the time. And he said it's like a baseball team that changes up the roster. It was a conglomerate up in the Midwest, so they had other people to shift around. He said it's just like a baseball team. They're shifting around the players, and I got shifted off the starting lineup. And I remember thinking, I thought people had jobs forever. That's what one should do. And so I think that at the time it was, they were well set. He had managed things well, so I stayed in college, and he was on to some other career.
But he didn't go back to banking.
He did not immediately go back to banking. In fact, he went off on his own, and he opened a MicroAge franchise. That's what used to sell Apple computers before there were Apple stores.
Yeah.
And so he was fine. So it wasn't like a traumatic, we lost our house or anything like that. I just remember thinking, I can't believe that guy lost his job.
Yeah.
And I think that made an indelible mark. And I said, I can't have a job for somebody because that's what they'll do to me. So whereas I cut my teeth working for other people, I think that was always in the back of my head that you can't do this because you'll lose your job eventually.
Yeah. No
matter how, and I always did a good job for people, always made people money. But I think that was I'm going to be let go at some point, because economies go up and down, and at that time I was just a sales guy. And I'd sure make a lot more money if I did this for myself. You know what I mean? You could hold those two ideas. So when I could, I got out on my own, and I'd love to say, I've never looked back. That's been successful every day, and it's not. But if it's going to be miserable, I'd rather be miserable in my own business.
So even though there's been bumps, you still stayed with it.
Yeah. I don't want to say like because I'm so dedicated, and I am dedicated. I mean, I'm certainly committed to this, but I think there was always so what are you going to do if you don't do this? That's
always kind of in the back.
It was always you're just going to have to go get a job for somebody, and that's going to be less pay. Wouldn't you rather take this downtime, turn it around, kick your butt if that's what it takes, and continue doing this on your own? In other words, the prospects of not doing it were never very good. So I'm like, I might as well stick with this and turn this around somehow.
Amen, brother.
Okay, good.
I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
Okay, so on that journey, let's start with the happy side.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, because we'll have plenty of time for the unhappy stuff.
Yeah.
So the happy side, what's been the stuff that you've been most happy about being an entrepreneur? What's the stuff that when someone says to you, okay, so what are all the good things about being an entrepreneur? What do you tell them?
Well, so things our fathers couldn't do, which is a subject that guys like you and I can talk about. You and I can build a business on a laptop and a cell phone.
Yeah, that's true.
And I remember...
In a coffee shop.
At a coffee shop. And some Wi-Fi. That's all you need. I remember early on in my first company, which is called Buzz Publishing, we landed a deal with Microsoft writing a newsletter for their then accounting program, which was supposed to be their QuickBooks killer, which ended up dying itself. But they hired us, and we were up against some very big competition. At the time, I was literally a guy on a laptop with a cell phone on a folding table in Roswell, Georgia. But Redmond, Washington didn't know that. We had done some good work. We had created content in the QuickBooks world. And so our reputation stood, but we got this lucrative contract, which then became the impetus for another company buying Buzz Publishing, laptop, folding table, cell phone. And I was like, yeah, that's how the future is. So that's good. And because of that, then as we had kids, my wife and I had kids, I could mold my day around things they needed to do at times. Now, there's always got to be boundaries, and that's another subject here. But if I needed to go pick up a kid from the bus because it's raining, I can do that with short notice because I'm working from the home or I'm working from a nearby coffee shop or something like that.
So freedom, creativity, flexibility, that's what I'm hearing in all that, right? You have freedom to kind of do this thing, create whatever you want to create with minimal resources necessary.
Right.
And then you also have that flexibility where you can pick up your kids from the bus stop.
Take a vacation. You don't have to ask anybody. Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So now let's go flip that coin. Other side of the coin. What are some of the things that people say, gosh, I want to be an entrepreneur? It sounds so glamorous. People always say travel.
Right.
Travel sounds so glamorous.
Yeah.
And you talk to people who've been traveling a lot. They're like, it's horrible. I hate it. There's no room for my legs on the planes. And I'm tired of hotels. So what's the less than glamorous side of entrepreneurship?
Your kids are always texting, wanting a ride from the bus. So that's not true.
Be careful what you wish for, right?
Right, exactly. I think that there's times that you might not be taken seriously because you're a guy on a laptop and a folding table and a phone. And so that is a downside sometimes, and it is. Whereas I do have a story about being the big guys. A lot of times we will lose out because I can't point to an office building and our logo outside. And when the client says, "Hey, we want to come to your office," I'm like, "No."
You're like, my office is at the Starbucks on the corner of.
Right. Or you're gonna come down the basement of my house, which is nice and furnished and looks decent, but. So I think that the downside is that you're sort of the beginning and the end of these things. So if things aren't going well, whereas you might look around your team and there's some things to improve, it really is at the end of the day you're like, oh, this might be your fault, and so there's no, the accountability has to begin and end with you. And if you're on vacation, if you were with a big company, you might be able to get away better. And there's somebody else back in the big office handling stuff for you. And when it's you or a small team, you will have to stop in the middle of Disney World and apologize to your family and go take a series of phone calls to put out a fire.
I've actually done exactly
I'm sure
that.
you have.
I'm sure that's no surprise to you.
No surprise to you. Right.
I've been like, excuse me, I'm going to step away from Thunder Mountain for just a second. Got a couple calls I got to take.
That's right. See you guys at the turkey leg stand.
Turkey leg. Those are good turkey legs.
Yes.
They are really good.
Yes.
Okay. So I've also, the way I think about this for entrepreneurship, so I want your reaction to this, because this is how my head works.
Yep.
Okay. I see like freedom and responsibility as two siblings.
Yep.
Kind of tied together at the hip. What most people in the world, my experience is they want all the freedom, but they don't want responsibility. Right? Like I want to be able to do whatever I want, go wherever I want, and you pay for it.
Right.
And but it doesn't work that way.
Right.
So to really be an entrepreneur, you have to ask yourself, okay, where am I willing to make trade-offs? Because
Right.
you can make trade-offs of freedom and have less responsibility.
Correct.
Right. So take maybe a standard kind of corporate job. Right. Someone's going to tell you where to go, what to do. You lose that freedom.
Right.
But there's this sense of, well, I don't have to. When I go on vacation, I can fully unplug.
Right.
Right. Or if
Right.
I get sick or need to take care of my family, things are not only going to get covered, but I'm still going to have money rolling in the door.
Correct.
Versus that whole, I want all the freedom, but it means everything's on my shoulders.
Right.
So does my crazy head work for you? Does that make sense to you?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a trade-off, and I think that if you are new to this, so out of the Great Recession a few years ago, we had a lot of people probably in their late 40s and 50s make the decision to go out on their own, not because that was their best idea, but because there wasn't a job for them.
Yeah.
Right?
Totally.
They got up to a high 5 or 6 figure income and they're let go. They may not be hiring that person again. So that person says, I guess I have to become a consultant or go out on my own. And so now they're forced to be in that position. But yes, the freedom is great, but you also, if you do not hunt, you do not eat. And so you're also responsible for making all this happen. And so if you're taking too much freedom, I can take vacations whenever I want, I can hang out in the afternoon, play Xbox with my kids, is that revenue going to drop and therefore your income going to drop? And so
I didn't know you played Xbox in the afternoons because I'm coming over to your house.
Sometimes what I'm learning is to get away, that I'm more productive. That's probably a different subject. I'm more productive if I get away. So.
Yeah, okay. I totally get that. So you also made an interesting comment too about a couple of things I want to touch on. I want to touch on hunting.
Yes.
So how do you get business?
How do I get business? First of all, be good at what you do so that your reputation precedes you. That helps, and that's also is sometimes hard to do. I mean, it's simple to be good at what you do. It's not easy. It's simple to be good at what you do. For us, so we're a big partner with Constant Contact. And Constant Contact has me do a lot of workshops in the Georgia area. So I go out and do best practices on social media marketing and email marketing, content marketing, SEO. And from those, people will see us and go, oh, because if you're standing up in front of people, you know this, you're the expert, right?
Yeah.
And they say, oh, you're an expert. And we've been really fortunate to do enough of those. And all of our clients are ongoing. So everybody we do work for, it's a month after month after month we're doing work. So it's not like we constantly look for new. Now there's a whole complacency issue of, how big should we get? Is this a comfortable level? I don't think there's, it's that whole, if you're not moving forward, you're probably dying.
Yeah.
So that's how we find new businesses. We keep the business we have. That's the easiest way, right? Get more from your current clients, and then just stay out there and talk.
So I'm hearing two important concepts in that. Mm-hmm. So one is a lot of how you get your business is referral and marketing.
Yes.
And so I cut marketing and business development in two different categories.
Okay.
To me, business development is, hey, I saw that you're connected to so-and-so on LinkedIn.
Right.
Will you make an introduction? And so then I meet so-and-so for coffee somewhere. They've never met me before.
Right.
And I try and tell them why we should work together.
Right.
That to me is pure business development.
Okay.
And people are good at that. That's not my strength.
Correct.
I'm way too...
I'm not agreeing with you that that's not your strength. I'm agreeing it's not everyone's strength.
You can agree with it's not my strength. It's not my strength. Much more of an introvert for that.
Yes.
Though marketing is more of the getting in front of people as an expert, putting out social media, providing content.
Right.
Naturally, that's more of a comfort zone for me.
Yes.
I should probably start a podcast one day to do something like that.
Something like that.
Something
it's
like
very
that.
Meta. Yes.
The other thing I'm hearing in here, which is a really important concept, I think, for entrepreneurs to think of, is you can have project-based work, but then you've always got to backfill that.
Yeah.
So if you can find ways to create ongoing revenue streams, that's the heartbeat. You can live to fight another day.
Yeah.
If you've got that. I used to always tell people, it's not as much the case anymore, but since I've got my own business, my best day of the year and worst day of the year were always next to each other.
Yeah.
So December 31st, I'd look back on the year and I'd say, what an awesome year. I'm so lucky, so blessed.
Yeah.
Right? Did better than I thought I would.
Yep.
And then January 1st, I'd say, okay, now I got to make this amount of money to provide for my family.
Right.
And I've only got like a tiny bit on the books.
Right.
and nobody's answering their phone or checking their email on January 1st or 2nd.
That's right.
You're just sitting there, just not able to do anything.
Right.
So those ongoing revenue streams, I think is an important piece to that.
Absolutely.
And then you also did make a comment earlier around with the recession, people in their 40s and 50s, many of them became reluctant entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Right? Kind of forced out to where they couldn't go back to either their industry or company, and had to start stuff.
Yeah, and you're starting to hear. So you're like me. You're a reader. So I read things like Inc. magazine and Wired and Fast Company and a lot of online, a lot of blogs and things like that. And so you're starting to hear those stories of people that become really successful as that reluctant entrepreneur. And I don't know that I was a reluctant entrepreneur many years ago, but I love hearing those stories of I wasn't sure whether I was going to do this, but I did it, and it became good. So recurring revenue. So this is the second time around for me. We had a company we sold in 2006, and from that we started the current company, Ghost Partner. And one of the tenets for that, when I started, I said I've got to have recurring revenue. And it's not because it's because I'm lazy. I don't. It's true. I don't want to have to start at zero every month. And there's some businesses that do that, and there's nothing wrong with those businesses. I wanted to make sure that that everything was based on recurring revenue. Whether we're licensing content, it's a small transaction every month, or we're doing custom content for a local client. It's got to be an invoice every month. Every month I got to look at it and go, I know X amount of dollars is coming in because everybody's doing this amount of business. Now we can grow that, and we have some side one-time projects that happen, but I'd like to say that it did because I'm so brilliant, and it isn't. It's just because I just don't want to have to do that every month.
I love that. So often people are like, "No, I'm an entrepreneur. I work 100-hour weeks."
No.
They're like, "No,
who wants to do that?
I'm lazy. I'd rather not do that.
No.
I want to build a real smarter mousetrap, so I don't have to do that."
Right.
Which again gives you the opportunity to do that. Being an entrepreneur, you can kind of do that. All right. So now I'm going to give you my magic crystal, not my crystal ball, not yet. My magic wand.
Okay.
So you have my magic wand, and if you could wave my magic wand and fix anything about your business. What would you fix?
What would I fix? Do I only get one thing?
Isaac's laughing, so you're allowed to have two because you made Isaac laugh. So you can get two things.
I get two things.
Those of you who don't know, Isaac is my producer. He is the best producer on the planet. Just so you know. Okay. So
what would I fix? I would fix. I would bring another body onto the team that all they would do is sit in front of me, and I would say, what would be cool if we could do, and that person would listen to what I say and then go execute it.
Oh,
that would be great. So if I say, you know what, I think we ought to do an offshoot website that does this, this, and this, and somebody needs to write content, and we need a graphic artist, and we need to put some e-commerce on that, and go. Right now, if I have a good idea, I got to go do it. Which is not to say I don't have team members that can.
So for those that are listening to the podcast, you didn't get